I keep hearing from Gen X women, I'm not depressed. I'm just done. I'm just tired. I'm just over it. I'm just hitting a wall is what I'm hearing. And it's it's often wrapped up with confusion, fear, uncertainty, especially if they're very entrenched in the life that they have now in this moment. There's a lot of potential fear around how do I unwrap myself from all of this? What do I even do when, especially if I'm not even really sure what the issue is or what it is that we're struggling with. This has given me thoughts to start to share information around pretirement, not retirement, pretirement. I have felt in the last 3.5 years, has it been it'll be 4 years in May. So it's now January. So yeah, so a little over 3.5 years ago, when I left my corporate executive job without another job lined up and did that very, very intentionally, what I have started to craft for myself in the life that I've put together, I feel like I'm in this pre-retirement phase of my life, which is what I see as about a decade or so ish before retirement kicks in. So the last 10, 15 years of your professional life or the professional aspect of your life. And it's sort of given me permission to look at it a different way. Prior to starting my retirement, I hated thinking about the future and hated thinking too far ahead into the future. And that has kicked me in the butt in a lot of circumstances. But particularly as I got older, even thinking ahead 3, 5 years just sounded horrible to me. Thinking of myself at that age down the road, because I wasn't sure what that looked like. Was it going to be more of the same? Am I going to continue to be disenfranchised, unfulfilled, borderline depressed, stuck, tired, exhausted, all of that? Was that going to continue for the next, 10, 15 years? And how am I going to do that? And then I was so deeply, deeply, deeply unhappy in the job that I was in. Could I really fathom having to grind at that level for another 10 to 15 years? And I couldn't conceive of that. Luckily, I took my 3-month sabbatical, which helped me get some clarity. But I was worried. I mean, when I was in the throes of thinking about it and the throes of struggling with it in my mind, because I wanted to take this step back, because I wanted to live life in a different way, did that mean I was losing ambition? Was I losing my edge? Was I not following the rules of the game? And is there shame around that? Am I quitting life and quitting too soon? I mean, is this still supposed to be my highest earning years? Which, by the way, I'm not sure if that statistic applies to women in their 50s the same way that it applies to men. I know men in their 40s and 50s and early 60s, that's like their peak income time. I'm not sure that that's played out for women, but let me know if I'm wrong there about those statistics. I think it's important that we name it, that pretirement is a wonderful place to be. I'm not ready to retire. I'm not ready to retire emotionally, physically. I'm not ready to retire or feel like I need to retire. I'm definitely not ready financially, and I hope to get into that a little deeper in a subsequent episode, but definitely behind on financial preparation for retirement. So pre-retirement, for me, it's figuring out what do I want the rest of my life to look like? Do I want to continue that hard hustle grind, corporate ladder, hamster wheel thing, which I had done for decades upon decades? I didn't want to continue that. I wanted to find, and still, this is where I am currently, is finding a way to support myself, support all my needs, prepare for my future, take care of all the financial aspects of it in a way that is aligned with my values and allows me to have a full, rich, happy, healthy life. It doesn't seem like that should be that big of an ask. But there was some guilt about stepping back and stepping off the ladder, so to speak. And while I definitely had a lot of peers and friends and family who were slightly envious of my newfound freedom and my newfound flexibility and the fun that I appeared to be having, there's also a little bit of shame, although that's probably coming from me. That's probably coming internally, not externally. That I hadn't quite reached the pinnacle that I wanted to get to. I stopped before I reached the pinnacle. So does that mean I failed? Does that mean I did something wrong? So there was a lot of those feelings in there. And as I've started to talk with a lot of Gen X women, I'm hosting these monthly Gen X coffee chats and having a lot of conversations on Threads and talking to Gen X women who want to appear on my podcast. So I'm having tons of conversations, and I'm hearing a lot about this feeling of I don't want to continue at this rate that I have been continuing on. I want to find another way to do this. Why is it hitting Gen X women so hard? And I definitely have thoughts about that. We are sandwiched between generations, taking care of our parents, and then the next generation, many of us are taking care of kids, or our kids are young adults and still feel some obligation and responsibility for taking care of them, which was not the case when we were coming up. When we were coming up, as soon as we turned 18 or left the house after college, that was it in terms of like financial obligation and everything like that. But today's parents continue to help and support their young adult children well into adulthood. So a lot of Gen X women are dealing with that particular pressure, that financial pressure, that pressure of I need to be able to supply, health insurance to my whole family, and so there's a lot weighing on them. Add to that the fact that they have been working nonstop since they were small children, without a big pause or break or rest in between tough seasons. They rarely, if ever, take a break, which is why I've been promoting my grown-up gap year for so long on these platforms, because I strongly believe that women need to learn how to take breaks more often. But Gen X women especially, because we have really strong work ethic, we really believe in working hard and grinding it out. And we believe in climbing the ladder and that there's a prize or a reward at the other end. And that if we do all the right things, everything will be taken care of. So there's been a lot of that programming and a lot of that responsibility put on our shoulders for many decades. So it's really not all that surprising that you as a Gen X woman may be just feeling inexplicably exhausted and feeling like you're done and wanting a break and wanting to do life differently, but being so wrapped up tight in fear and hesitation, of doing that. And what happens is when you get to that state, when you're feeling that done, that burnt, you may not consciously make a change in your life, but you're like you're quietly making that change. I know for a while there was this thing going around about quiet quitting. And it kind of looks like that for Gen X women for all aspects of their life. They slowly start to opt out of things and sometimes out of things that used to bring them joy. But they're less interested in new opportunity. They're less interested in climbing the ladder at work. They're less interested in, doing some of the things that they have really made a top priority for so long in their career. So when you find yourself doing that, that's a sign. That's a sign that, ooh, I really I need to pause and take a break and get quiet and really think about this, about what I'm feeling, because it's something that needs to be addressed. And I see pretirement as an excellent opportunity to do that. You're recalibrating your energy and reprioritizing how you are spending your time and how you want to show up in the world and how you want your life and space to feel like around your nervous system. What is it that makes you feel safe? So if you're in the throes of this at all, if you're having any of this swirling around in your head, I want to reassure you, you're not unmotivated, you're not lazy, you're not quitting, you're not, losing your ambition, none of that. All of those signs and signals are telling you it's time to approach this life differently. Slow down, take it easy, give it some thought, and think about, what do you want your pretirement to look like? The years before you stop working, how can you craft that, and what can you do to make it as wonderful and fulfilling and rewarding as it can be? My name is Amy Palmer. I am your Gen X Big Sister. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to continue to talk about pretirement and a lot of other topics. This is your Gen X Big Sister signing off.